We're going to start, right? One of the ones that we're going to do, though, you have to be careful and just watch where you're going. I'll explain. He's going to be in turtle. Your man just turned. You just passed. He is not going to lay down, okay? If he remotely feels he's going to get pinned, he's going to turn to turtle. He might try to stand up. He's going to shoulder. He is not accepting that, and no man should. I've told this story a million times. It used to drive me crazy in that somehow people think that that's some form of victory, that they don't get submitted. This is your laboratory, like experiment and turn. And in real street fighting, I don't care. Like MMA, what do? They stand up. In the judge's eyes, the man that's on the down side of it is not the dominant player, period. And the game has evolved so far in MMA that if you're going to play the game on your back, you are going to get mauled. And in a real street fight, forget about it. You have to fight to turn to turtle. So in every scenario, you got to fight to turn. Okay, you just can't accept being on your back like that. Sometimes you'll see players just keep playing on their back and inverting and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, but that's not real fighting. Okay, that's not real street fighting. That's not real MMA. And in real street fighting, you would be dead. But we're going in different scenarios so that it applies to everybody. It's not that easy sometimes if he's bottled up just to me to throw a hook in like this or throw a hook in on the other side. There's a few things I'm going to ask you to do. Do not lift your head positions. You are mirrored on a man. If your eyes were closed, you would need to feel every muscular twitch. Okay, I need to feel when his hips rise. I need to feel when his shoulder drops. So mirror your man. Don't let me see you doing this. Okay, your man left you if you've done that. You're here mirrored on him. You're here quadrant hunting where you're right on this top quadrant. This V pocket is bottled up. I'm going to ask the person to let you have a little spacing so you learn how to do it. Later on, you could be a jerk, okay? That if he doesn't want to let it, there's ways that we can get that kneecap in there with a little bit of aggressive pushing and jamming and doing some other things that are a little bit nasty. But we're just going to slide our knee in. One of the things I'm going to ask you to do is not slide your knee that way and to slide it towards this back kneecap. Because what I would love to do is insert my foot behind his. And what I'd love to do is be ankle to ankle so that I could drag this ankle and manipulate this kneecap. Because what I really want to do is put my first hook in, but I'm going to do it off of the manipulation of this ACL. So this is how he's looking at this point. He sat down and I'm mirrored on his backside. My hands are really in specific positions. They're grabbing here for a reason because it's going to help us later in case he goes that way. Right now, it only has one purpose, is to feel where his shoulders go. Also, I don't have a gi, so I can't lift him up that easy. In gi, it's a little bit different, that I can yank his neck up hard and then throw my first hook in and then take advantage of him that way. But no gi is a little bit different, okay? So I have to hold on to his lat because I want to feel where his shoulders are turning. I'm mirrored on his back side because potentially what could happen is, and we're just talking about potentially, I'm here like this, and this guy's a rookie player, he's like this, and I'm mirrored. I could potentially pull this hip and knock him down and then throw my first hook in here or get dominant position on a wrist right. Could go that way, but he's a good player. So we're saying that we're mirroring him and he's not just gonna fall over like a dead duck, okay? So we're like this. My kneecap comes in right above that V pocket, and now as I jam in, I'm jamming in backwards. So we're like this. Doesn't seem like much. The spacing back here is super tight, okay? Right now, Ethan is doing something. If you see, most people do not do what he did. If you can't see his feet, they're mirrored on top of each other, and he's doing this. I can open that up a different way by lifting this back hip and inserting my ankle backwards. I'm going to ask Ethan to just keep them apart, okay? I'll show you ways to get there if you want to. Because the reason I'm bringing it up is that when you have a player sitting like this, he's basically saying like, I'm just trying to survive. That's not real. Like a good player is like not going to sit there like that because he knows that if the longer he sits there, he's going to start getting moved, he's going to start getting insertions, and then things are going to go south on him. So he's not going to sit with legs like this because then you're going to open him up, right? But if he does, and I've slid my kneecap in, I'm like this, I can always take command of his hip and lift him forward. So now my back ankle is going to go in backwards. It's going to touch his kneecap. I mean, it's going to touch his ankle. So this is all I'm looking like, okay? I'm not going to touch him right now, and I'm just going to explain right now. Once I've touched this ankle, If you remember this leg, that kneecap is deep. My instep is mirroring this kneecap. So when I start pulling this, his hip line changes. My bottom leg came through. I haven't touched him yet. Obviously, I'm going to touch him. So the first thing I'm going to do is when I break this hip down, I have to mirror this shoulder. There's nothing else I care about in the world. I'm going to tell you two things that are going to occur right now. He's going to try to put his back to the mat, and that's going to start by this first and this second. So I want to stop this, but my vision is here. So this leg, when I first plug it down, this back thigh is going to wedge right between, unfortunately, I can't describe it another way, right between his ass crack, because I don't want the top sector to start turning on me, right? So when I first landed, my first reaction is to get behind this deltoid because I don't want to lose that deltoid, okay? My leg position has never left. You've never seen it flare up yet. I'm sitting too low in the pocket to throw my secondary hook in. So what I'm going to end up is with one hook, and you're not going to score any points. Or you're not going to get a body lock. He's going to bottle this up too quick on me. Pick this back down. So my first reaction when you first broke him down, it was like this. I mirrored that back side, okay? My second thing is this bottom leg, the moment, and it's actually the first thing, the moment that leg kicked through, I retract that back leg and I bite onto the bottom glute because I know I have to fight for position up here. I don't need you going on your back and turning, and now we're starting to get away from me. So my first reaction is I mirror this back side. As I bit onto this bottom leg, I start stapling your calf so that I can slide up in the pocket and start getting my second insertion. I can do many things of body locking, bringing him on an arch, and now I throw my secondary foot in, and now this is where my points start. So let's go back 1 second. Right, so you bottled up on you. You're not lifting your head, you're like this mirrored. I'm starting to jam my kneecap in. I've got an insertion at ankle to ankle. I'm mirrored on him. As I start ripping at this ACL, you'll see I exaggerated that kick throw so you can see it. As I'm landing, you know your pots. You know your spots, so have some vision of where you're going. I can't lose this deltoid. I have to bite onto the bottom glute. So when we first landed, my first reaction is to get behind that deltoid. My second reaction is I bit onto that bottom glute. So now I can start stapling and getting my insertion. Now I'm commanding two things. I'm commanding the back deltoid so that the angle didn't change on me. I'm holding the bottom glute so that the hip line can't get to the mat. Now as I've gotten higher up, now is when I get my first insertion. So let's start with there and then we'll counterbalance it the other way. Let's do it. Yeah. When I first demonstrated it, I didn't touch him. And I said, watch how his hips turn. And he turned for me because if I was doing that fast and hard, I'm looking to rip his ACL or I'm looking to tear his meniscus. Go back in there. Do everything exactly that good. Perfect. He grabs this. Perfect. He's good. Okay. And what I see a lot of people, remember I told you, all you're going to do is reinforce bad habits, and you think that this man's just going to collapse on you. This kneecap has to clear this glute line. Let me see it. Stay right there for me. Is this kneecap further than this? I think it could go further. That's how it has to be. And that's the torque he should feel on that knee. And if you're shorting yourself, you don't have to do it hard, but there's times to drill speed and perfection. When you're drilling right now, it's about perfection. And all you're doing, do it wrong, go back up, go back. And this is what people are doing. Not everybody. You're like this, and now this guy just falls over. And now you thought that's not going to happen. And now this muscle never got reinforced in what it wanted to do and its specifics. You have to be very detailed, right? So go back up, right? I should see that line so torqued that kneecap is arched behind that glute line, right? Ripping it. That's what I'm seeing right now, right? And now, right, because I got to somehow beat him up here, and I need quarter seconds, right? Because I got to get to positions because I have vision of what he's going to do next, right? Whether I succeed or not, I want to be in certain spots. So I need these momentary pauses of a quarter second, half a second. That determines the good and the great, whether you medal, whether you make it to the biggest tournaments, right? So now he starts his progression. Stay right there. This should be bit on so tight because you know what he's going to do, right? He's not leaving you, right? He's going to start realizing, damn, this guy's about to take my back. Let me fight to turn. So this glute's going to start, Paulie's going to start his process of turning and getting his back to the mat. Perfect, come back a second, right? So before that ever happened, Ethan had 2 goals. Fight for the deltoid line up top, right? So you can't fight for this hip line so that it doesn't turn on you, right? Now you have command of him. Now start bringing yourself up the body line. Yes, and now throw your secondary leg in, okay? So let's do it again, and then we're gonna go the other way. But let's try to focus on that one little detail, that when you rip, also have some vision of feeling where, go back in there for a second, of where your positions are with your feet. They're not just random. I'm not pulling at his calf, right? If the rusty nut, I couldn't break it open, and I got a wrench, I wouldn't hold it right here. I would go here, or I'd get an extension lever even further. The thing I'm trying to rip is right there. And then some people are placing their, have feel for the game, right? The whole thing that we talked about here was trying to feel the muscular twitches, trying to feel the off bat leg. I'm trying to feel the game. It's not by vision. I'm trying to feel the game. So right now, Ethan is perfectly where he's feeling the kneecap. He's already mirrored over here. His focus is over there. He's done everything right up here. So his focus is, where am I pulling down there right now? Now yank back, right? You just yank it, yeah. That's how Paul's hips should break down, because he feels like, shit, my knee's about to rip if I don't fall on this, right? And now potentially he's turning on him and fighting to get to his back. That's why we want to get to those spots, because I really wanted to score. And now if he starts turning too much, I got to dump him out. But yeah, okay, so I want to stay dominant position. So let's do it a couple of times, and then we're going to go the other way where he counterbalances us the other way. Let's rock. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. And if you don't have vision, you will not succeed. Meaning that, you know, like a lot of people, and I don't want to say a lot of people doing it really well. But the reason I point it out is, like, if you don't have vision in the patterns and how you release a wedge or replace a wedge, or how your body alignment is, like, you will not have success at the highest level. You're like this, right? And you're like this. And now you're mirrored on this backside, and you're going like, okay, I'm here. And now when I start yanking, stay up, kiddo, stay up. I'm gonna rip your ACL. Okay. You're like this, right? And you got your insertion, right? And I'm like this, I'm yanking this thing out, and I'm ripping, and I'm mirrored on him, right? Stay up for a second. And then I see, right, but if you start doing this, stay down, just stay like, you're like this, right? You're like this. And now you got this insertion, you're like this, mirrored on him. And now you just start lifting your body up, or you start putting your arm over here, and you're going like this. You're gonna lose this guy. There's a reason I'm here, because I don't, like, when I start pulling him this way and trying to get him over, I'm gonna really try. And potentially, if there's a big size disparity, he's not going over. And he thinks I'm a bug, like I'm a fly sitting on his back. And now I go, okay, I can't get you in there, and I can't get over there, but I got my hands here, and I was on this bag, and I go, okay, now I got my fingertips together. Now I don't care how strong you are, because those muscles in your neck are weak, and your body will follow that neck, right? So I can open you up other ways, like, but I also worry about you throwing me off, and I'm hanging off of you like this, and like, you go the other way, roll that way. No, that way, that way. And now I'm like this, and you go, you wonder why you lost him, right? You wonder why you lost him? But you lost him. He didn't do any, he just recovered, right? So I'm mirrored on that side up there, because I'm like this, and now he goes that way. So I'm like, okay, I hooked on the inside and brought him over, and now I'm on his back on the other side. So if you don't have the understanding that it might not go in your favor, right? It might go the other way, because he wants to get rid of you, and you don't have any real grip. Remember this hand that I told you why I wanted it there? Because right now it doesn't help me. I haven't put fingertips together. I haven't collected any, I haven't done anything, right? But when I see people going like this, putting a hand over here, and like, why is this hand here? Everything in your body has a specific purpose. Nothing is random. If somebody tells you, oh, no, you don't have to worry about that, man, tell him, dude, give me back my money, man. I need to know where everything, I even need to know where my right eyeball is pointing. Like, I need to know everything about this. And not only me, I need to know everything that he can do. So this hand in the beginning didn't do anything for me. But when we go that way, it does, right? Because when we go slow, I'm going to pretend like we're going slow. Roll with me. When we're like this and we're falling, imagine I'm like here mirrored. Right now, it had no purpose. But when we land like this, it keeps pulling. It keeps pulling so that we land here, and now this hook comes in. So it had purpose, right? It had purpose because I wanted as a safety valve on the other side. And now I've gotten presence and I'm here. So if you go that way, I'm good. And I have multiple ways that we can open them up. We got to do one at a time. But if the structure is poor in the beginning, the outcome 99% of the time is going to be poor. Or you're going to have limited success, or when you go to the Worlds or you go to compete in something, you want to do the trials or something, and you're going to come to me and go, man, I almost got there. And as I say, man, I hope my mouth is full of food, because if you really want the truth, I'll go, you weren't even close, kid. And they'll go, what do you mean? I had one hook, and dude, you weren't even close, man. And let me just keep putting food in my mouth so that I don't insult you more. So that's, sometimes I apologize because I have, if you know me, like I tell that sometimes I can't sugarcoat stuff. So this leg, right? Try to remember like why we're doing what we're doing. Don't leverage yourself out. Don't reinforce bad habits. This hand had a reason. So we're going to go that way. In the beginning, it's a little weird because you're kind of worried about, you're like this and you're mirrored on this man. You're trying to figure if you can do the fingertips. And if I could put fingertips, I start opening up this pocket. Now I'm underneath here. And now my first hook is in. So I'm looking to see how I can open this game up. Like, all I had a kneecap, but I'll take a foot over a kneecap. I want to trade up the deck. Maybe I had eights right now, and I want jacks and kings and queens. Like, so I want to trade up the deck. I had a knee, but I want a foot, right? So I can change it up later. But I'm sitting here like this going, all right, I'm trying to figure out how I can open this man up. But I'm not losing you. I know how important this deltoid is. I know I put up my positions in my hands, and I'm trying to fight for position and get my kneecaps in. And all of a sudden, as I'm trying to pull him, Ethan rolls the other way, and I go, stay right there, right? Two things are going to bring him over. This hand and that foot. So I never let position of this foot go up in the air. The foot drags the line the whole way because I want to hook him on the inside thigh. So I continue. So 1 and 2. I had 2 safeties on that side. I have 2 safeties on this side. When the angle changes, watch the foot. It's never left the ground. So when it hooks on the inside thigh, I had 2 things pulling me to this side. Upon landing, don't let me see you here, because you know what he's going to do. This deltoid, that glute is going to fight now. So right away, lock up the hip and bury your head behind that deltoid, because I got to fight for this hand position on the other side. I have to slide myself up. I have to throw my secondary hook in. Let's do it, guys. It's fun to do a lot of things, but, I always say, like, there's certain moves that just, to me, they're not real, because they can only be applied if you're a good black belt and he's a blue belt, or you're a really good black belt and he's a purple belt. So when they show me the move, I'm like, it's not a real move. Like, it's like, yeah, I get it. I like doing it also. It's fun and stuff, but in competition set, it's not, like, that's such low percentage. I'd rather in competition set that you not pick his body line up from there. Like, if you're mirrored on him like this, like, there's other way. I'd rather this than you turn and lift this hip up, right? Like, that's fun for the class. Like, because we're playing like no. I'm on you, man, and I'm glued to you. Whether I have to play nasty, whether I have to start coming in quarter Nelsons and opening, no. I am not going to come from here and start doing this. I'm here mirrored on you. I'm fighting for this hook. I'm fighting for now I control this. This, I'm lifting a hip. Like, this guy's going to, if he's big and strong and he's going to whip this leg and shoulder roll, he's going to crack me in the freaking face. Like, that's how that might go. So just be careful. Like when you lift that, yeah, I do it in class and I show it, but really in competition, no. And real fighting, no. You don't do that. Like, real fighting, I'm mirrored, man. I'm mirrored. I'm staying dominant the whole way through, okay? There's other ways to break down the hip lines, which I've shown many times over on foot picks and stuff like that. So you got a 2-minute break before we go live. Want to grab water, caffeine. Let's have a great class. 5 rounds today.